Hair can be really important. There's a line in Fleabag where she says,
hair is everything.
and it is if it tells us something about their character. So this guy, we're on his long black hair. That doesn't really tell me anything. There's only one thing you need to do at this point, which is DSA. Do something awesome, ideally in the first half of the page. This is a recording taken from a free live class that I give from time to time to my email subscribers. Let's get stuck in. We've got a really intriguing, I wouldn't call it so much a logline, but more of a tagline. Eve's creator wants her back in Eden by force, if necessary. So I don't know what the story is, but sometimes when you're writing loglines, the loglines that closely resemble your story are actually not the loglines that make the reader want to read your script. And I think this does scratch my intrigue button. Let's see how it plays. South Levant, 7,000 years ago. Pure morning light, ocean, forests, sprawling fields. Oak forest. Red horizontal rays, birds chitter. An innocent woman's face, asleep. Flawless milky skin that hasn't been washed in a few days. Her brown, disheveled mane blends in with the colossal oak tree she rests her head against. She is Eve. Dream. Lab spaceship. Learning station. A bright, all-white, futuristic laboratory. A long gel-covered chair with a transdermal device built into the headrest. A door hisses. A woman's bare feet emerge from a plain white robe. They step into the lab. Nix tells me you want more lessons. Yes, please. Supervisor Luth remains focused on a virtual monitor. Otherworldly serenity, almond-shaped eyes, beardless, long black hair covers the back of his uniform. Eve hops on the familiar chair. Lead engineer Nix, long brown hair, uniform and a gloved hand, positions Eve's nape on the transdermal device. Brushes a stray lock of hair away from Eve's cheek. Well, Eve, it's your lucky day. We've got some things going on. I can't see this first sentence really. Okay, primeval landscape. It's an interesting location, but what does it look like? Pure morning light, what's the frame? Ocean, forest, sprawling fields. Okay, so maybe we've got a tracking shot, an aerial shot coming in. We could be more specific about it. Now, most readers don't read the slug lines carefully. So I always say, don't rely on the slug lines to deliver your visual. So when you say red horizontal sun rays, bird chitters, I'm not really in this forest. So what's this image? An innocent woman's face. Where is it? What's the frame? I'm in a movie, an innocent woman's face. Is this by the forest? Is this in the sun? Asleep? We've got an interesting bit of voice here. Flawless, milky skin that hasn't been washed in a few days. Okay, and this is Eve. And then we've got quite a complicated visual. Her brown, disheveled mane blends in with the colossal oak tree she rests her head against. She is Eve. So I'm intrigued by she is Eve, but she's sleeping. It's not an active character introduction. And ideally, you want to, as I always say, introduce your characters at the most characterful. And we've started with a dream sequence. Now, it's a kind of Stanley Kubrick dream sequence because we're going from prehistoric time to space world, which is interesting, but I would question the moment you go into a dream or a flashback on page 2, it can be dislocating for the reader because then they've got to, hold on, okay, we're in another world. So now I've got to set up another world. So this is a second setup. Nothing's happened here. Okay, a bright all-white futuristic lab. I can see that. This is a tricky sentence. Why? Let's just go really molecular on this sentence. There are too many words. And you've got to remember your noun is the dominant image. A long gel-covered chair. Okay, gel-covered. I think long is not helping us. A gel-covered chair and then a transdermal device. I don't know what that means. It's a cool sci-fi term, but I can't see the frame. So I think you might say with a device built into the headrest. Or what kind of device is it? A door hisses. There's a nice piece of sound design. And we got a woman's bare feet emerge from a plain white robe and they step into the lab. Now, this is something that a lot of writers do. We haven't met Luth, and so we have his voice off screen. but I don't know who Luth is, so I'm not feeling anything. And then he's talking about Nix. We've got Luth, we've got Nix, we've got names. So I'm 3/4 way down the page and I'm not fully in. And now we've got a double character introduction, and both of them, what are they doing? Supervisor Luth remains focused on a virtual monitor. What is a virtual monitor? So is this like a Minority Report kind of hologram? I don't know what a virtual monitor is. And what's Luth doing? He's just looking at a computer screen. I'm playing devil's advocate here, Joe, and I'm just trying to say, because this is how people will, they've read everything. So what they're thinking is, so what? We're overdoing the hair. Hair can be really important. There's a line in Fleabag where she says,
Hair is everything. We wish it wasn't, so we can actually think about something else occasionally, but it is.
And it is if it tells us something about their character. So a brown disheveled mane. Okay, this guy, we're on his long black hair. Do we need that? No, that doesn't really tell me anything. The fact that he doesn't have a beard is not relevant. The fact he's got almond-shaped eyes is not relevant. Otherworldly serenity, what does that mean? He's looking at a computer screen. There's only one thing you need to do at this point, which is DSA. Do something awesome, ideally in the first half of the page. And then we've got another character called Nix, lead engineer Nix, long brown hair, uniform and a gloved hand. So that's almost like your subject. That's a lot. I've got to see an engineer, I've got to see hair, I've got to see a uniform, I've got to see a gloved hand, and then positions Eve's nape on a transdermal device. So we're burying the key visual. Long brown hair, uniform, and a gloved hand. Now, this is an interesting visual. There's a way of writing this where you say a gloved hand positions Eve's nape on a transdermal device or on a device. I don't know what that is, but it's cool. Brushes a stray lock of hair away from Eve's cheek. Okay. And then we got the well. Well, look, listen, they're real words. We use them in the real world, but most times you can get rid of them. Eve, it's your lucky day is probably a better line. So if I look at this page, I've got 2 setups and no payoffs. She just gets into a machine out of a dream sequence, and then we cut back. And I'm thinking, well, why did we go there in the first place? Now, this is where things happen. If you're enjoying this class, I have a Scooby sense that you'll absolutely love my free 50-minute masterclass. 7 mistakes stopping you getting an agent. TikTok legend Nick Curcio, who is a WGA screenwriter, said this about the class.
It is not normal for me to go out and watch these masterclass videos about screenwriting. And originally I was just going to scrub through it. I ended up watching the entire thing. There was so much that I agreed with. And he has one of the best explanations for voice, what is voice, that I've ever heard. So if you're someone who likes when I get excited and talk about screenwriting, I would say go sign up and just watch this free 50-minute video, because I thought it was pretty dang good.
So it was worth Nick Curcio's time. It might be worth yours too. Click on the link in the description. And now we are going to plunge back in to the live dive. Present, oak forest, a splash of blood, jolts Eve awake. Pulse hammers, muffled grunts, before her eyes fully grasp the scene. Attack location. In the morning silence, 5 prehistoric fair-skinned men club the heads of sleeping young men in white robes while young women awake. Their leader is Jeru, a fiery, freckle-faced savage by default. Higher location. Gazelles feed on fresh leaves. Poor Orc observes them with an experienced eye. Carved from life, he's a formidable biracial hunter of superior build with long curly hair and searing eyes. Learning from him is La, a shorter, scrawny, dark-skinned, impulsive teenager. The boy reacts to echoes of screams through the forest. Pa-Orc listens. La proceeds ahead of his careful partner. A young man bolts away from the slaughter. All the other males in robes have ceased to move. Hunters grab the terrified tall women and pull them away from the bloodied sight. The face of a blood-covered hunter slams into the frame, conquering, unyielding. He's inches from Eve's. She's never faced violence before. But her instinct says, no, not me. And she rolls over. At this point, I'm fully engaged, because I know that she's in danger. I love her character. What you've done is a technique where you've put her thoughts in italics in the business. She hasn't said, no, not me, but I know that what she's screaming that inside. So this is working. Pulse hammers, that's a lovely little sentence bomb. A little fragment, muffled grumps, before her eyes fully grasp the scene. What perhaps is suboptimal is this is an extraordinary image, but it's delivered in a way that's quite matter-of-fact. In the morning silence is a clause opening, so I don't know what's happening. Look at the gender problem here. And by that I mean we've got men here, we've got young men here, we've got young women here. And then down here, we've got young man, other males here, tall women. Try and swap these up. This is such a violent image, and I'm wondering, is it silence? I don't think we need the morning silence. I need to know where we are. Are we in a rocky terrain? Are we in a valley? Where are we? But this is great. 5 prehistoric men. Noun, club, verb, the heads of sleeping men, which, by the way, are in white robes. My movie projector is just overloaded. It's glitching. I mean, I can see 5 prehistoric warriors club the heads of sleeping teenagers and then young women awake. It's casual. I'd like you to write this, ideally, from the POV of Eve. She is our main character and she just disappears, just as we've got back into her situation. Stay with her danger. If she can spot things going on. Higher location, I don't know what that means. Gazelle's not relevant. Observes them with an experienced eye. Hold on, we're talking about the slaughter of a whole tribe. Observing feels like, unless this happens every day of the week, and it's like, oh, look, they're getting done in again. This is probably the wrong time to be introducing these characters. It's killing the tension. So have her in danger and then run it on and see her seeing, presumably her kinsfolk having their heads clubbed in. The men being pulled apart, and then we're there. And I love what you've done here. So in terms of the big picture notes, I don't think it's optimal to start ever with a dream sequence, even if it is such a big leap. And somebody who's dreaming is not somebody who's doing, so they're passive. I am interested in Eve, and I really want to see her wake up and escape these slaughtering monsters. But write it from the POV of the person we most care about. And that person becomes the conduit for how the reader feels and makes the reader fear for them. And in particular with action. Because a lot of writers, they write action scenes and there's tons of things going on at the same time. Good action is when perilous things happen to characters that we care for. But thank you very much for sharing.